we made it.
Hi, welcome to the Outdoor Laboratory Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Capo, and in today's episode, we're going to be visiting Mesa Verde. Mesa Verde National Park was established in 1906 to preserve the archaeological heritage that these sites have to offer. These sites were inhabited from 600 to 1300 Common Era. On the park, there are about 5,000 known archaeological sites, 600 of which are cliff dwellings. This national park is found near Cortez, Colorado. And to visit this park and have a truly immersive experience, I suggest that you plan ahead. Make sure to have spots to go to the cliff dwellings like Balcony House and Cliff Palace. The visitor center is open from 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the winter and from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the summer. This is where you could buy your tickets. When you first visit the park, you may want to take a peek at the Chapin Mesa Museum. There are some things in this museum that I found disgusting, and I'm astounded that they're still up. Old exhibits that were generalized about ancestral life, and literal dioramas that make these cultures look to be nothing but a glorified high school history project. When visiting the Mesa Verde National Park, you have to drive past the entrance onto a very windy and turny road with very steep drop-offs on each side. The scenery is beautiful, and getting to these sites are quite easy as there are signs pointing all around the park to where you can go. Many sites like the pit houses and far view sites have parking spots close by so that you can park and walk up to. Then there are also Cliff Palace, Spruce Tree House, Balcony House, Long House, and Step House, which all have amazing overviews that you can look at. These sites are truly beautiful to see. I felt very honored to have access to these old ancestral sites, but a part of me was torn as to the ethics of running a park like this one. In 1888, two ranchers by the name of Richard Wetherhill and Charlie Mason came across what is known today as Cliff Palace. These two ranchers came back and they excavated a lot of artifacts from this Cliff Palace and displayed it at the fair in Durango, Colorado. Although Wetherhill and Mason were credited with discovering the ruins, it is important to note that other people knew about them as well. In 1765, Don Juan Maria de Rivera detailed finding ancient ruins. In 1874, a miner led a photographer, William Henry Jackson, through one of the houses, and another prospector, S.C. Osborne, spent the winter in and around Balcony House in 1884. To combat vandalism, however, Theodore Roosevelt established Mesa Verde in 1906. Ask yourself a simple question though. Who really discovered these ruins? Are ruins really something that can be discovered? The problem with our westernized society is that we believe that we're entitled to these places and things. These ranchers came across these ruins and their first reaction was to excavate the site to show the world. The potential for this place to be a tourist gold mine is not something that was overlooked by those who came across these ruins, or even the government, and to think that would be foolish. The Utes already knew about these ruins. In fact, the Utes avoided this region for religious purposes as they believed that spirits stay in these ruins. However, today, you're able to pay for a ticket and get a tour to these cliff dwellings. What hurt me the most about my experience was the lack of Native American interpreters that I saw at the sites. I saw none. All I saw were old retired white men in ranger uniforms discussing things that they've read in a history book. Let's talk about the land that this national park is founded on. It was stripped away from the Ute people who had no say into how this land was split up. The initial establishment of the national park stole around 40,000 acres from the Utes. But when Congress realized that their land survey was incorrect and failed to include the cliff dwellings, a clause was passed that gave all the ruins within 5 miles of the boundary to the government. The American government also failed to realize that the land that they gave the Utes had valuable springs on them. The government told the Utes that they were going to take another 10,800 acres because of this. In 1913, it was found that Balcony House was also not included in the national park, So Congress signed over another 1,300 acres without even notifying the Utes. Today, the only sign that you see of any Native American involvement is found on a road in the park. Due to a surveying error, there is a road in the park that is still on tribal lands. The natives have established a facility to offer souvenirs and refreshments. At least they are able to make some type of living off of their own land and off of their own heritage. It is despicable to me that the government is literally making money off of heritage that they took over and that they destroyed. Excavations over the last 100 years have found over 1,500 human remains and 5,000 artifacts, all of which were removed from their final resting place. This, to me, is so disrespectful to Native culture. But in 2006, the 24 tribes associated with the park voted that the Hopi tribe perform the reburial ceremonies of these artifacts. This reparation to the Native Americans was carried out under the Native American Graves Protection Act. Thanks to this act, at least some type of justice can be brought to the tribe. It is no coincidence that the government would take over this land like tyrannical rulers because of the economic potential that this place had. In 2016 alone, visitors spent $60.6 million and employed almost 883 jobs. This national park, if given to the tribe, would be able to generate needed revenue and jobs that native tribes need to sustain themselves. This is also a great way to have these sites reinterpreted accurately by descendants of these native peoples, which can help relearn their culture that has been lost from them being forced into American dorms and the cultural holocaust that happened in places like the Navajo Long Walk. Or if these natives decided that these sites are off limits for cultural reasons, we should respect that. This is their culture. An argument that can be made is that because the national park was created, it was able to preserve these ruins. But that is false. Mesa Verde National Park has $65.7 million in maintenance backlog to ensure the preservation of these sites. How is that the case? Why haven't we been preserving this worldwide cultural site that Mesa Verde is? How has our government let such a culturally significant park need this much money for repairs? Why haven't we been keeping up with it? But instead of caring for the land and putting the money that we need to fix these issues, our administration has decided to take money from the national parks for a 4th of July parade. We celebrate the culture of America, but we're losing the very historical anchor points that this continent's past. And it's so ironic because we're literally destroying an American culture. Mesa Verde is a place that holds lots of confliction in my heart. I love to be on this land and visit these ancient pueblos, but I feel as if I don't belong here. I feel like this land is not a place that I have been invited to go to. I feel as if I was trespassing during my whole visit. I recommend that you visit this park so that you could feel the same things that I felt. To see another example of land and culture that was stolen and destroyed by our government. This land does not belong to us. Mesa Verde is a beautiful place with amazing views. And when you can get away from all the tourism, you can hear what the landscape really has to say. So go out and experience it for yourself. Hey, Dad, you want to make a Mr. Capo special appearance? I'm going to push you in the thing. Just say smile. A Mr. Capo special appearance. Give a thumbs up. A Mr. Capo special appearance. Yeah, that's them. Now a triple Mr. Capo special experience. Now back to the canyon.